The weight of social validation in youth. Imagine being 25 again. Picture yourself at a bustling networking event, surrounded by colleagues, acquaintances, and strangers. The air buzzes with laughter, clinking glasses, and the hum of small talk. You're smiling, nodding, and exchanging pleasantries, but inside, there's a quiet voice whispering, "Do they like me? Am I saying the right things? Am I enough?" For most of our lives, we are conditioned to seek validation from others. From the moment we step into school, we learn to fit in, to be liked, to belong. Friendships during these formative years often revolve around proving ourselves, whether it's impressing peers, maintaining social status, or ensuring we're included in group activities. Even as adults, this need for external approval persists. We climb corporate ladders, attend social gatherings, and nurture relationships, not always because they bring us joy, but because they validate our worth. But what happens when you turn 70? Suddenly, the world begins to look different. The urgency to prove yourself fades, replaced by a profound realization: you are enough. This isn't just a philosophical platitude. It's a truth that many older adults come to embrace as they reflect on their lives. A new perspective, freedom from external approval. At 70, life takes on a different rhythm. The relentless pursuit of social validation no longer feels necessary. Think about Harold, a man in his early 70s who spent decades climbing the corporate ladder. For years, Harold's identity was tied to his career and the people he surrounded himself with. His friends were colleagues, clients, and acquaintances, relationships built on convenience rather than genuine connection. When Harold retired, something unexpected happened. The friendships he had invested so much time in began to fade. At first, he felt a pang of loss. He wondered if he should reach out, try to rekindle those ties. But then, a thought struck him. Why am I chasing relationships that don't truly matter? This moment of clarity marked a turning point for Harold. He realized that for years, he had been living for others, seeking approval, fitting into molds, and conforming to expectations. Now, at 70, he had the freedom to live for himself. Harold started exploring hobbies he had long neglected. He rediscovered his love for painting, joined a local gardening club, and even took up meditation. These activities weren't about impressing anyone. They were about finding joy in the present moment. Slowly but surely, Harold found that he didn't need external validation to feel fulfilled. The opinions of others no longer carried the same weight. They were like whispers in the wind, easily dismissed. The emotional liberation of letting go. Letting go of the need to prove yourself is an emotional liberation. It's like shedding a heavy coat you've been wearing for decades. Imagine standing on a mountaintop, the crisp air filling your lungs, the vast expanse of nature stretching before you. There's no one to impress here, no one to judge you. You are simply you. This sense of freedom is intoxicating. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, your passions, your values, your inner peace. Take Margaret, for example, a 74-year-old woman who once prided herself on her active social life. Margaret's calendar was always full: lunches, coffee dates, holiday gatherings. But over time, she began to notice something unsettling. Many of these interactions left her feeling drained rather than uplifted. One day, Margaret decided to take a step back. She stopped attending events she didn't enjoy, stopped responding to calls and texts immediately, and allowed herself the gift of solitude. At first, she worried about what others might think. Would they see her as aloof, as uninterested? But soon, those fears melted away. In the silence, Margaret discovered a newfound sense of self. She began taking long walks in the park, savoring the rustle of leaves and the chirping of birds. She picked up books she had been meaning to read for years, losing herself in stories that transported her to different worlds. Most importantly, she learned to appreciate her own company. Margaret's story is a testament to the power of letting go. When you stop seeking validation from others, you create space for authenticity. You no longer have to pretend to be someone you're not. Instead, you can embrace who you are, flaws and all, and find beauty in your uniqueness. The science behind self-acceptance. There's a scientific basis for why self-acceptance becomes easier as we age. Research shows that older adults tend to experience a shift in priorities, focusing more on emotional well-being and less on external achievements. This phenomenon, known as the positivity effect, explains why seniors often prioritize meaningful relationships and personal fulfillment over social status. Neuroscientifically speaking, the brain undergoes changes that make it more resilient to negative emotions. As we age, the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing fear and anxiety, becomes less reactive. This means we're better equipped to handle rejection and criticism, which further reduces the need for external validation. Moreover, studies have shown that older adults who practice self-compassion report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with kindness, recognizing your shared humanity, and embracing imperfection. It's about understanding that you are worthy of love and respect, not because of what you achieve, but simply because you exist. Real-life examples, stories of transformation. To truly understand the impact of letting go, consider the story of Alice, the 72-year-old widow who lost her husband 5 years ago. After his passing, Alice struggled with loneliness. She tried to fill the void by staying busy, attending church events, volunteering, and joining book clubs. But despite her efforts, she still felt empty. One day, Alice decided to take a solo trip to the mountains. It was something she had always wanted to do, but never had the courage to attempt. As she hiked through the trails, she found herself marveling at the beauty of nature. She journaled her thoughts, practiced mindfulness, and allowed herself to grieve and heal in her own time. By the end of the trip, Alice felt transformed. She realized that she didn't need constant companionship to feel whole. She could find solace in herself, in the simple pleasures of life. This newfound self-reliance gave her the confidence to pursue other passions, like photography and writing. Today, Alice leads workshops for seniors, teaching them how to embrace independence and find joy in solitude. Another inspiring example is James, a retired engineer who used to define himself by his career. For years, James believed that his worth was tied to his professional success. But after retiring, he struggled to find purpose. He tried reconnecting with old friends, but many of those relationships felt superficial. Eventually, James turned inward. He started journaling, reflecting on his life experiences, and identifying the values that mattered most to him. He realized that his true passion lay in mentoring young engineers. By sharing his knowledge and wisdom, James found a renewed sense of purpose. He no longer needed external validation to feel accomplished. He knew that his contributions spoke for themselves. Practical tips for embracing independence. If you're ready to let go of the need to prove yourself, here's some practical steps to get started. Reflect on your values. Take time to identify what truly matters to you. Is it family, creativity, personal growth? Write down your core values and use them as a guide for decision-making. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with kindness, especially during challenging times. Remind yourself that imperfection is part of being human. Cultivate solitude. Spend time alone without distractions. Use this time to connect with your thoughts, explore your interests, and recharge your spirit. Set boundaries. Learn to say no to activities or relationships that drain your energy. Prioritize what brings you joy and fulfillment. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge your achievements, no matter how minor they may seem. Celebrating progress reinforces self-worth. Seek inspiration. Read books, watch documentaries, or listen to podcasts about people who have embraced independence and found happiness in later life. Conclusion: the beauty of being enough. At 70, you no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. You've already lived a lifetime of experiences, challenges, and triumphs. You've earned the right to live authentically, free from the burden of external expectations. This journey towards self-acceptance is not always easy, but it's deeply rewarding. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to let go of old habits. But in doing so, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities, a world where you are enough, just as you are. As you move forward, remember this. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. Nurture it, cherish it, and trust that it will guide you toward a life of peace, purpose, and fulfillment. The inevitability of change in relationships. Life is a river, constantly flowing and reshaping its course. Friendships, like everything else, are subject to this natural ebb and flow. When we're young, friendships often form out of proximity, classmates, coworkers, neighbors, and shared interests. These connections thrive because they serve a purpose: companionship during challenging times, support in achieving goals, or simply someone to laugh with over coffee. But as we age, life's priorities shift. People move away, start families, pursue careers, or face health challenges. The bonds that once felt unbreakable begin to loosen. At first, this can feel unsettling. You might wonder, what did I do wrong? Why don't they call me anymore? But here's the truth. Friendships fading isn't always a reflection of your worth. It's just part of life cycle. Understanding the nature of friendship evolution. To better understand why friendships fade, let's explore their life cycle. Think back to your childhood best friend, the one who knew all your secrets, shared your dreams, and stood by you through every scrape and triumph. Fast forward to adulthood, and chances are you've drifted apart. It's not that either of you stopped caring. It's that life pulled you in different directions. The same principle applies to friendships in later life. As people enter their 70s and beyond, many find themselves reflecting on relationships that have waned. Perhaps it's an old college buddy who hasn't called in years, or a neighbor who used to drop by but now seems distant. While it's natural to feel a pang of loss, it's important to recognize that change is inevitable. Take Sarah, for example, a vibrant 73-year-old who spent decades nurturing friendships with her book club members. For years, they met weekly, discussing novels, sharing recipes, and celebrating birthdays together. But as time passed, some members moved away, others became caregivers for aging spouses, and a few passed away. Sarah initially struggled with the dissolution of the group, feeling abandoned and questioning whether she had done something to drive them away. Then, one day, she realized something profound. Friendships aren't meant to last forever. Just as seasons change, so do relationships. Some friendships are meant to accompany us for a lifetime, while others serve their purpose for a season. By accepting this reality, Sarah was able to let go of guilt and embrace gratitude for the memories she shared with her book club friends. Finding peace in impermanence. Letting go of faded friendships requires a mindset shift. Instead of viewing these changes as losses, try seeing them as opportunities for growth. Each friendship leaves an imprint on your heart, a lesson learned, a memory cherished, a moment of joy preserved. Even if the relationship itself fades, its impact remains. Consider Robert, a retired teacher in his late 70s. Throughout his life, Robert prided himself on being the connector in his social circle. He organized gatherings, facilitated introductions, and ensured everyone felt included. But as he aged, he noticed that fewer people reached out to him. At first, he felt hurt and isolated. Was he no longer valued? Over time, however, Robert came to see his role differently. He realized that his friendships had enriched countless lives, even if those connections weren't permanent. One former student sent him a letter thanking him for inspiring her to become a writer. An old colleague mentioned how Robert's encouragement helped him secure a promotion. These moments reminded Robert that his influence extended far beyond the immediate circle of friends he missed. By focusing on the legacy of his relationships rather than their current state, Robert found peace. He began investing more time in activities that brought him joy, such as painting landscapes and volunteering at a local senior center. To his surprise, these pursuits introduced him to new companions who appreciated him for who he was today, not who he used to be. Coping with loss without losing yourself. Of course, accepting the impermanence of friendships doesn't mean ignoring grief. Losing touch with someone you cared about deeply can evoke feelings of sadness, loneliness, or even anger. These emotions are valid, and suppressing them only prolongs the healing process. One effective way to cope is through creative expression. Writing letters, even if you never send them, creating art, or journaling about your memories can help process emotions. For instance, Helen, a 76-year-old widow, started scrapbooking after losing contact with several close friends. She filled pages with photographs, ticket stubs, and handwritten notes recalling special moments. This project not only helped her honor those friendships, but also reignited her passion for storytelling. Another strategy is reframing your perspective. Rather than dwelling on what's lost, focus on what remains. Are there still people in your life who care about you? Do you have hobbies or passions that bring fulfillment? Shifting your attention to these positives can soften the blow of fading friendships.